أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد الفاتح الخاتم وعلى آله حق قدر العظيم. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, everyone. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful, all praises are due to the Almighty Allah, the Lord of the universe, the most beneficent, the most merciful, the sovereign of the day of judgment. You alone we worship, from you alone we implore help. Guide us to straight path, the path of those whom you have favored, neither of those who have incurred your wrath, nor of those who have gone astray. O Allah, maintain your praise persistently upon our chief and master Muhammad, the key to that which is closed, the seal to that which is past, the upholder of the truth by means of truth, the proper guide to your straight path, and upon his family according to his eminence and his great honor. Assalamu alaikum. Once again, good morning, everyone. I am back on my series of lectures on the topic, the institution of Caliphate, its evolution and development across the history of humanity. If you can remember, in the last session, we were discussing the people of Prophet Noah and how they took their exit terribly when they finished playing their role on the stage of history. Whenever the word Caliphate is mentioned, the first thing that would creep into people's mind is Islamic government. And its wider concept, it is far, far wider than that. In fact, every living creature represents or plays the role of caliphate of its predecessor. In other words, creatures always take place of their bygone predecessors. Here, as we live today, we have already taken place of the generations that are bygone, that are gone for long, that took their exit from this world. And we are gradually and slowly but surely moving towards our unavoidable exit from the world, so that the younger ones will come and take our place, play their role, whether exceedingly well or not. That will be judged by the posterity. And after having taken their exit, the next creatures that were built to come into the world will take place. And this, in its wider concept, as I said earlier, applies to every single living creature. In fact, even creatures that are in the world of vegetation, or even the stones, the rocks. Of course, for the rocks and stones, they are not going to be created further any longer. Those existing now will be the ones that will remain. In other words, there wouldn't be any series of creatures in the world of rocks and mountains. They have already been done with by the Almighty. They are already here. When they take their exit, they have already taken it. Only the ones that remain in the world will remain there. But when it comes to the living creatures, either vegetable life, either in the world of vegetation, or animals, or human beings, so they are being replaced by the upcoming generations. And that is how the divine rule is. That's how the natural law is, and it applies to all and sundry. And that is why we intended to explore this concept as wide as it is, so as to increase our knowledge of the divine wisdom of bringing creatures and replacing them with others. That's why in quite a number of verses in the Holy Quran, the Almighty Allah will always say, إِن يَشَأْ يُذْهِبْكُمْ وَيَأْتِ بِخَلْقٍ جَدِيدٍ وَمَا ذَلِكَ عَلَى اللَّهِ بِعَزِيزٍ. If the Almighty so wishes, He will take you away from the physical world and bring in a new set of creatures to take your place. A new set of creatures. وَيَأْتِ بِخَلْقٍ جَدِيدٍ. And that will never be too mighty for the Almighty to do. And that wouldn't be any difficult for the Almighty to do. When matters about the Almighty's power, infinite power, are in question, we need to understand that there is nothing that we can say this is easier than this is more difficult than this. No, this applies only to human capacity and human power. But when it comes to the Almighty's infinite power, nothing is easier than anything else. All things are of the same degree of ease and simplicity. He can execute whatever he wants in the universe and the way he wants and at the time he wants. And back to our point where we stopped in the last session. As I said earlier, we were exactly discussing the people of Noah, how they took their terrible exit from the world, how they were destroyed by the flood, and from there they were taken straight to the hellfire. The Almighty Allah made this clear in the chapter titled Noah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم مما خطيئاتهم أغرقوا فأدخلوا نارا. It is for the gravity of their atrocities against the divine command, that is the aggressive disobedience they committed for over 9 centuries, caused them to be destroyed, consumed by the great flood of Prophet Noah, and then taken straight to the hellfire for udkhilu naran. As we are talking right now, they are already in the hellfire being punished before the resurrection day. So all these are there as living evidences of the divine power and the divine authority, and then his natural laws that can in no way be broken, and they can in no way be bent to suit the interests of anyone else. So that's how they are. The rules are there. We need to read them and understand them. So one can choose his destiny the way he wants. If one wants to end up the way Pharaoh did, the way the people of Noah did, he is free to do that at his own risk. Let him not hold anyone responsible for his terrible misfortune. Let him consider himself the number one responsible for his misfortunes and no one else. That is why these stories are narrated in the Holy Quran. So if you are to mathematically divide the Quranic verses, you can see almost 2/3 of the verses of the Holy Book discuss the stories of the nations of bygone prophets, how they disobeyed their prophets, and how they were eventually dealt with by the Almighty as He promised. That is why you can see at the end of the stories, more especially in the chapters, Surah Hud alayhi salam, the Almighty Allah will always say, starting with Prophet Noah, when the judgment of God came to pass, when they were about to be destroyed, hatta iza jaa amruna wa farat an-nur qul nahmil fiha min kulli zawjayn. Noah continued exercising patience with his people up to the hour when our decision came to pass. At that very hour, when no prayer can avail them, when no intercession can avail them anyway, whatsoever, when the divine decision come to pass, then no one can intercede. And that's how they were destroyed. And Prophet Noah was spared along with his people, although he tried very hard to save his child, his disobedient child, who happened to be an unbeliever, yet because the child used to disobey the father, so today is the day that he will reap he will reap what he sowed for years. He was being disobedient to the old father, to the old man, the old prophet. And today, he will commit the most expensive disobedience ever. Disobedience that will cost him his destiny. That is the disobedience that will take him to eternal doom. When he said, Irkab mana, can you imagine that if that boy used to be obedient to the father, would he question the order of his father? He will just comply. But because he had never been compliant, so he wouldn't start complying today. It is too late, because today is the day of the divine judgment, the divine decision, and nothing can change. Whoever arrives at this day the way he is, so shall he remain. Nothing can change. This is similar to the situation described in the chapter Surah Al-An'am, where the Almighty Allah said, يَوْمَ يَأْتِي بَعْضُ آيَاتِ رَبِّكَ لَا يَنْفَعُ نَفْسًا إِيمَانُهَا لَمْ تَكُنْ آمَنَتْ مِنْ قَبْلُ أَوْ كَسَبَتْ فِي إِيمَانِهَا خَيْرًا قُلْ انْتَظِرُوا إِنَّا مُنْتَظِرُونَ. Scholars of Tafsir, while that is the meaning, the literal meaning of the verses, the day some signs of your Lord emerge, no soul's face will be of any avail to her on that day. In other words, no soul will exercise any faith on that day, and it will avail her. No soul will make an attempt to follow the right path on that very day, and the attempt will avail that soul. No. Lam takun amana min qablu, a soul that had never believed before, aw kasabat fi imaniha khaira, or has never exercised any righteous deeds prior to this day. That is why scholars of Tafsir reported that the Prophet ﷺ interpreted this verse by saying, this is a reference to the day of judgment, the day the sun will rise from the Occident rather than from the Orient. يَوْمَ تَطْلُعُ الشَّمْسُ مِنْ مَغْرِبِهَا, the day the sun will rise from its Occident rather than from the Orient. Can you see? So that means that that day, nothing will avail any soul. So that is why you can see the Almighty Allah will always say, وَلَمَّا جَاءَ أَمْرُنَا نَجَّيْنَا هُودًا وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مَعَهُ بِرَحْمَةٍ مِنَّا. And that is why the son of Noah, when he was cautioned by the father of the terrible, overwhelming flood, that he should embark on the ark along with him. Irkab ma'ana wala takun ma'al kafirin. Don't be among the unbelievers. But he had been with them for long, so no admonition will avail him today, no preaching will help him today, and no attempt will help him from any quarters. And of what use is this very lesson to us as living creatures? The great lesson we need to derive is we are yet to arrive on the day of our death. So this is a great lesson for anyone that is still alive, because admonition avails no dead man. A dead man will derive no benefit from admonition. What he needs is prayer. That is, if at all he dies as a Muslim. Because should he die as a non-Muslim, you have no right to even pray for him. The Holy Quran is very clear. مَا كَانَ لِلنَّبِيِّ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَنْ يَسْتَغْفِرُوا لِلْمُشْرِكِينَ وَلَوْ كَانُوا أُولِي قُرْبَى مِنْ بَعْدِ مَا تَبَيَّنَ لَهُمْ أَنَّهُمْ أَصْحَابُ الْجَحِيمِ. The Prophet of God, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, along with the believers, are in no position to pray for the idol worshippers. It is made clear to them that those idol worshippers will end up in the hellfire. So that is why the story is narrated to us. So when the boy saw he saw some waves, that is the waves of the flood, and he thought that wave was a mountain. So he told the father that I will take refuge in that mountain, Sa'awi ila jabalin yasimuni min al-ma, so that it will save me from the flood. Qala la asima al-yawma min amri llahi illa man rahim. Today, nothing whatsoever can save you from the divine decision of destroying the unbelievers, except for those who the Almighty Allah decides to show mercy. As they were arguing, as he was arguing with the father, وَحَالَ بَيْنَهُمَ الْمَوْجُ, one strong wave came and barred between the two of them. فَكَانَ مِنَ الْمُغْرِقِينَ, and the son ended up being among those drowned in the flood. وَقِيلَ يَا أَرْضُ ابْلَعِي مَاءَكِ وَالسَّمَاءُ أَقْلِعِي وَغِيضَ الْمَاءُ وَقُضِيَ الْأَمْرُ وَاسْتَوَتْ عَلَى الْجُودِ وَقِيلَ بُعْدًا لِلْقَوْمِ الظَّالِمِينَ. And then the Almighty Allah sent down His command to the flood to cease flowing, that the earth should, the water should be, that is, should be absorbed by the earth. Ibli image, all earth, absorb the water laying on you. Where somehow actually all the heaven stop showering the water. Actually, bimana amsiki. And that was how the flood was stopped by the Almighty Allah. And the ark of Prophet Noah halted on the Mount of Judah. And a divine declaration was made. Far away from the divine mercy are the wrongdoers. The wrongdoers are declared far, far, far away from the divine mercy. Nothing is more punishing. Nothing is more traumatizing. Nothing is more tormenting than being taken away from the divine mercy. So, no divine declaration is as much terrible as this. So, after this event, Prophet Noah felt that he was under obligation to go and express his gratitude to the Almighty Allah. So he went for the divine communion, and during the communion he expressed his ultimate gratitude to the Almighty for the safety of him and his people, his believers, and for the destruction of the unbelievers. In the course of his prayers, he made a very polite inquiry so as to know the wisdom behind having his child among those who were drawn. A very humble inquiry. Get me right, I didn't say query, inquiry. He inquired to know the wisdom No one has the power to query the Almighty, but he inquired so as to know the wisdom. قال يا رب إن ابني من أهلي. Oh my Lord, I can see that my son is a part of my family. That is part of my family. من أهلي وإن وعدك الحق, and your promise is always true. وإن وعدك الحق وأنت أحكم الحاكمين, and you are the best of all judges. That is, you have the monopoly of wisdom, and you have the monopoly of fair judgment. Subhanaka wa ta'ala. You are the best of all judges. قال يا نوح إنه ليس من أهلي. The Almighty revealed to Prophet Noah the wisdom behind all this by saying, إنه ليس من أهلي. He is not in any way part of your family. Of course, not biologically, but spiritually. Because once the moment is declared not part of Prophet Noah's family, the first thing that will come to mind is that the boy was conceived from elsewhere. No. That's why the Almighty Allah added, Innahu amalun ghayru salih. What disqualified him from being a member of the family of Noah? Because innahu amalun ghayru salih, because of his impious deeds. That is, his attitude of unbelief disqualified him from being a member of that great family. But biologically, he is the son of Prophet Noah, but not spiritually. Because he's delinked spiritually from the family, he's declared not part of it. Therefore, فَلَا تَسْأَلَنِّي مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ إِلْمٍ. Don't ever ask me of what you don't know. So we have a lot to learn from this point. What else would you ask to know if not what you don't know? Here is being warned not to ask for what he doesn't know. Not to ask Almighty Allah for what he doesn't know. And what makes it so paradoxical is that what else would you ask to know if not what you don't know? You would not expect anyone to ask of what he knows. He can only ask of what he doesn't know. And here is Prophet Noah being warned, فَلَا تَسْأَلَنِّي مَاذَا مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٍ. Don't ever ask me of what you don't know. So we need to learn a lot from this. إِنِّي أَعِذُكَ أَن تَكُونَ مِنَ الْجَاهِلِينَ. I am admonishing you so that you may not fall within the faults of ignorant people. And this also is there to teach us the divine greatness and the divine majesty. And we need to understand that great servants of Allah fear the Almighty Allah much more than anyone else. Someone who served for a period of almost 1,000 years, Yet, just because he wanted to know the wisdom behind having a child being destroyed, but because Almighty Allah deals with his servants according to their ranks, because Noah happened to be one of the most exalted great prophets of the Almighty Allah. That is why he was so treated, in accordance with his rank. For us, those that are at the bottom, we pray for almost everything. In fact, we get rewarded for such kind of prayers. That is enough to explain to you the concept Hasanatul Abrar, Sayyiatul Muqarrabin. The righteous deeds of the obedient servants of Allah may be considered as sinful acts when it comes to those that are very much closer to the Almighty. What you do as a nobody, that you may even get rewarded. Someone of higher rank than you, if he does that, he may be blamed for that. He may seek forgiveness for that. So that is that. I'm going to stop here, inshallah. In the next session, we are going to continue exactly where we stopped. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad al-Fatih lima ughliq wal-Khatim lima sabaq nasir al-haqq bil-haqq wal-hadi ila siratika al-mustaqim wa ala alihi haqqa qadrihi wa miqdarihi al-azim. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Assalamu alaikum.